I didn't go through.
Yeah.
Original email Matt sent.
I don't remember.
There's a link and you have to click it.
That got me on. All right, well, because I wasn't able to even open
I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would call the roll, please.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mr. Roladai.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Thank you. Absent. I will move on to approval of minutes of both the September 19th regular meeting minutes and September 30th, the special meeting minutes. And I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Regola-Dye. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Roladai.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Ward. Yes. Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. Accommodations and communications, Mr. C.
Yes, we have no accommodations or communications tonight, but we do have a report to share. I'm pleased to introduce Teresa Weaver. She is the principal at Pleasant Street Elementary. It's Pleasant Street Elementary's month. And so she's going to share with us some exciting things that are going on at Pleasant Street.
Thanks, Bill. No one wants the month of October because you feel like you just get your feet under you and all of a sudden here you stand. What we tried to do, we couldn't get pulled together in time. So next year I'll be quicker on the draw and I'll get like December or January because it's a race. Bill opens the link, he shares it, we all race to take our month. And I was answering one of my children, so that's my own fault. So I wanted to share with you just briefly, and there's just a super short video to go with it. At Pleasant Street, since I came in August of 17, we really desired an after-school program. Dr. Brown helped me a few different years with some grant writing, and that didn't ever seem to come our way, but other buildings in the district and in the county had been blessed with that. Due to some unfortunate circumstances for another county school, at the very last minute, I got the call from United Way, like 2 weeks before the program start this year, to say, hey, we have 15,000, it's yours, can you staff it? It took a lot of arm twisting to get things pulled together that quickly, but we used our fall data to make determinations as to who would be invited, because we can't have 350 kids there. Worked on staffing, and right now we're 3 days a week. The budget isn't going to allow us to do much more than that because I have to have 4 to 5 adults on staff every night to cover it. We started on Monday, October 3rd, and we'll run through April 26th every night after school. We're sitting at 35 students right now. I'm pushing on my staff, telling them we can do 50. They're not feeling that unless I come every day. I'm like, okay, listen. But it's been a really neat opportunity, and I feel like my back is to someone. I can't figure out which way to go here. But in our building, and you guys know this if you've known me for the 5 years I've been here, we work really, really hard to develop healthy connections and relationships with our kids. And it's just one more way to serve them, to love on them, and to connect with them. And we're already seeing, this is only week 3 of the program, so it's really, really still in its infancy. We've settled into good structures and routines, and we're already seeing the change even in the classroom when a child comes through the door, and because their homework is done, and it hasn't ever been for years, there's more confidence, they're more apt to be engaged and to participate. So we're already seeing those little things. So at the end of the program in April, I will have to submit to United Way all of our attendance records with names omitted, of course, and their fall data scores, their spring NWEA map data and scores, and then the other thing I went in there is the reflection of homework completion, because really that's the ultimate piece to this that's coming together. So there's just a brief, enough of me, just a brief 4-minute video. This was my weekend. I am not John Fry, so John. This was like a 2 in the morning project, so you cannot nitpick the things I didn't do right.
I would never do
It's my third
that.
one. So go ahead, Phil. Pleasant Street staff have noticed many amazing things happening in Jacket Club. Mrs. Tripp says that at Jacket Club, every student is greeted warmly and asked how their day was. Some of our students don't have that in their lives outside of school. It's a calm, happy place where we are establishing a rapport with future students. Now when we see them in the hall or at recess, they're excited to say hi and let us know that we'll see them after school. Mrs. Harris says that she likes the one-on-one connections we are making. It's a super positive environment where kids get our attention and homework gets finished for the next day. What a relief for some who normally struggle with homework. Mrs. Luckmeyer says that it has been an amazing experience to be able to connect with the students and to build a deeper relationship with them. Having the extra time with these students has allowed us to continue to pour into them and give them the tools they need to be successful in the classroom. The students are having fun and gaining academic confidence. Mrs. Burke agreed with each of them and added that she has seen older students helping younger ones by reading with them or assisting with a math problem. This encourages the older students to get their work done so that they can help. Students are excited to be here and many of them feel special. Hi Melanie, can you tell us what you like about attending Jacket Club after school?
It helps me like with my homework and stuff, and I don't have to struggle at home to do it.
What is your favorite thing about Jacket Club?
Well, my favorite thing about Jacket Club is my friends are there, and I get to read a book, and I do my math page, and I listen to the teachers when they are talking, and before I do the math and stuff, we get a snack.
Carson, why do you like going to Jacket Club?
Because my friends are there, and then I get to read a book with one of my friends, and we chat for a little bit, then we do our work, then we go out and play a little game, then we come back in, then my dad comes and picks me up, then I go home, and then that's all I know.
I'm a junior jacket, and this is what you'll see. I'm honest and industrious, just like a worker bee. Being valiant and encouraging are important to me. I love to show these things for all the world to see. Respectful, responsible, ready to learn and grow. I'm a junior jacket, striving for the high.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, John, you can send me your critiques in an email. I missed the face.
Great. That was wonderful.
Yes.
So that's just 3 weeks in, so it'll be interesting to see
So
January,
can
February.
you share with us the time? I mean, they're there from,
So we dismissed them first. I have 2 aides that are part of our after-school programming. Their day ends right at 3:30, so they take them down. Mark Keim is using grant money to provide our snacks for us, so that's not coming out of our United Way budget. So my aides get them in and settled at 3:30, and by 4:45, we're wrapping things up. We have what I call camp cleanup. My custodians don't get paid to clean up after you, they get paid to clean the building. So we do camp cleanup and ship them out the back door by grade level, and the building's empty by 5.
so about an hour and a half?
Yeah, hour and a half. Mhm.
That's 3 days a week?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday right now. I went in Thursday, but it wasn't, staffing wise, I couldn't get Thursday to come together. And I'm so grateful it didn't, because I hadn't sat down and multiplied out the budget all the way through, and I would have been over by like $3,000. Oops. I didn't stop to think when I talked with Margie and Carly, like, what are you paying your aides? What are you paying their teachers? Well, they have 15,000. I have 15,000, but I need more people than they do. So that was, I'm grateful Thursdays didn't come together, because that would have been my tax return.
So the teachers are paid out of the United Way
Yeah.
budget?
They'll get paid in December and in May.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. And did you approach the whole staff who wanted
Yeah.
to be.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised with the people that
That are there.
volunteered. Yeah, Kathy especially, she's
Yeah,
amazing.
we have Mrs. Pumphrey, who's new to me. Just last year, I stole her from Stingle in Ontario. Kathy Luckemeyer, Tracy DeBoard, and they kind of are in and out. My mainstays would be Tiffany Burke, Jill Harris, Angie Tripp. And then I have 2 aides, Katana Colbert, Katana Mandich, last name change there, is with us every night. And then Aislinn Ray is with us quite a bit, Kayla Kaiser. So a lot of 5th grade, but it's most of the teachers that are my age and older. We have older children, and so we can put in that time. We don't have babes in arms at home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's for what grade levels?
Oh, grades, I'm so sorry, grades 3, 4, and 5.
I think you said that, but I couldn't remember, so.
Wendy Sharps about once a week asks when 2nd grades be invited. Maybe next year. Maybe when United Way's grant is later. We can come up with another way maybe to substantiate.
This is terrific, because we always wanted to have an after-school program that would be focused on the homework aspect, not just babysitting time.
Right.
So this is just really great structure.
It's been good for my adults too, to be honest with you. When a 3rd grade teacher is helping a 5th grader with 5th grade math, we started taking the teacher manuals down with us to make sure that we're instructing appropriately. So it's been a good challenge. Yeah.
Good. Any other questions for Teresa?
Thank you.
That's great.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Being entertained.
Under other reports, Ella? Oh, she's not with us today, okay. I don't see Darcy or Mike, and we have no public participation.
Correct.
No board items for discussion tonight. I do have an addition to the agenda, and so you'll see in section 11B1, Mariana Walk is also going to help participate in our Friday, Saturday school program. She wasn't on there originally. We're making her retroactive, so you'll find that under the personnel section. Under superintendent's report, I have a brief district update on some things that we have going on. And so I thought I'd just quickly kind of share a few of those for you. So this is School Bus Safety Week, and we always want to make sure that we're really mindful about school bus safety, and we actually have a week that we celebrate this. So it is this week, October 17th to the 21st. Just a couple interesting pieces I thought the board might be interested in. We transport nearly 2,000 students per day in 2 split shifts. In other words, there's a middle school, high school shift, and then there's an elementary shift. And then in the afternoon, we reverse it. We currently have 23 full-time routes, and we cover about 1,860 miles every day. So we, sometimes when you think of a city school district, you might just think within inside the proper, but it's actually quite large and expands out quite a ways. Our regular route buses are equipped with 5 interior cameras, and they have microphones on them. And we also have all of our buses are equipped with front and rear facing stop arm cameras. So in the idea of school safety, those 5 cameras on the bus can really help, a driver with some of those things that happen that, quite frankly, are really hard for a driver to see. I mean, you can only imagine having 60 kids in the bus, let's say, and your eyes should be focused here. And when we have those things that we need to go back and address, 5 cameras in this, in the bus really helps us maybe identify where some challenges are. And it really has kind of cut down on the, well, he said, she said, well, the video says, and it's been a real positive piece for us. With all the bus cameras now having front and rear facing stop arm cameras, so every time we're on a route, whether it's a major route or a back road, when we stop and put our flashers on and open our door, the stop sign kind of pops out. There's a camera on the front and back. And so anybody that would happen to run our reds, which is always one of the most scary things for a bus driver, is taking pictures. So it's nice to have that to support us. We did an article on this last spring, and I asked how many times we've had to really go back and look at that video this year, and the sentiment is drivers are doing a much better job of, kind of adhering to the lights and the crossing and some of those things. So we're grateful for that. Students in grades K through 3 every year receive yearly bus safety training, and they walk through the rules. And so the particular drivers of that school, because our drivers, especially at the elementary, are all assigned in elementary, they'll go in and they'll work with our kindergarten through 3rd graders and talk about bus safety and how to act and the bus rules and those kinds of things. We do conduct 3 safety evacuation drills every year with students. We're required to do that by law. We don't do them all at one time. We space them out so that they're good. And then our drivers are involved in monthly bus safety meetings and talking about those things that may have come up that we really need to address. So I just thought in the idea of School Bus Safety Week, I'd share a few of those thoughts with you and let you know that our drivers are just invaluable. And the way they keep our kiddos safe in a bus is really, really important. And there are national statistics that will say kids are safer in a bus than almost any type of a vehicle you can come upon because of not only the height, but the build. It's almost like a truck body. So that's important.
Can I ask a question in the middle of this? Thank you, Bill. When we moved our bus garage and created our bus garage here, have you found the bus drivers are more on time, the buses are more on time, they're able to transport the kids more efficiently with that new bus garage where it's located?
I think you'll find lots of reasons why our bus drivers love their new location. Part of it is just parking and preparation and so on. Do we still have buses that run later than other buses? We still do.
Sure.
Ask Teresa. She will mention to you that especially early in the year when they're trying to figure out their routes, right? And some of our elementaries will reach way out into the country. And so we still have some similar challenges with buses on time and those things. But the fact that it starts there and ends there every day is really invaluable. Whether we can kind of encapsulate what that looks like in terms of financial, that might be something for a really gifted treasurer to take a look at.
Well, I think too that it's just the money was worth putting that there because the old bus garage was not able to accommodate the newer buses.
Absolutely.
And everything that our mechanics had to work on. So I think the money was well spent there.
Absolutely, I agree, and I think they would echo those sentiments and thank the board for that contribution. You're going to have coming out this week or in the next couple weeks, and John Fry is a huge part of this as our communications person. In the fall and the spring, we produce a newsletter, a physical newsletter, and who would think it at this day and age of electronics, but people still like to get a physical newsletter. And we're in the stages right now where we're going through and proofing it and doing some things, but I thought I would show the cover of what this is going to look like. And inside this issue, you're going to see that we talk a little bit about our report card. You're going to see where East has been recognized. Twin Oak has an article in there about just their staying fit. You're going to see a small article on our school-based health center opening in 2023. We have a community bulletin board that we really want to make sure people understand where that's located and what's in it. And so that's a little article there on that. We have a couple young ladies at the high school who are student authors who are actually in the publishing stages of a book they put together kind of during COVID. We had a really just special military appreciation week a number of weeks back. So there's a neat article on that. Title I school services, sometimes people don't understand what that's about. And so we're kind of explaining that a little bit. I shared an article on the Intel's impact on Mount Vernon City Schools. And while there aren't a lot of revelations there are some things to think about because the reality is we don't exactly know what that impact will be. But in the same token, we've got to find ourselves getting prepared for things like that. Gary wrote an article on grants, gaps, and gains. It's kind of a treasurer's perspective of how we've utilized some of our ESSER funds and how we're going to utilize funds that we still have not yet disseminated. And then we have one on bumping up technology, and I'm saving a slide for that, but Matt Dill has taken our Bump It Up theme to another level with technology, and we're very thankful for that. So, John, this should probably be going out sometime first week in November?
Yes.
That's our plan. So we've got, we're gonna be doing some revisions and some things on that. But just gives you a little snapshot of what's gonna be inside. And we'll send that out to over 15,000 households. And you'll have a physical copy of something to look at. But we have a lot to be proud of, and we want to share that information. This is in there as well. We're bringing it back. I mean, COVID is officially, it's obviously still here, and we're still dealing with parts of it, but we're feeling like we're getting back to a bit more normal. And so we're going to have our Senior Citizens Fall Luncheon. It's going to be Thursday, November 17th. John produced that really cool flyer there. We'll start to get that out into the community and make that more known. It's going to be Thursday, November 17th, 12 o'clock. We're going to have it here at Energy Fieldhouse. We're going to be in the, in the larger area where we'll put up tables and have kind of a stage. Many of our seniors maybe haven't even seen this facility yet, so that'll be a little bit of a part of our plan. And obviously they're going to have lunch. There is an RSVP there. Folks will generally call in to Jessica. So it feels kind of like we're starting over because it's been 2 years since we've had one. We were, beginning to get close to 250, 300 seniors on a given luncheon. And I feel like it's going to take a little bit, to get back to that point, but this is the first big step, which is just having another one. This is the technology update that I wanted to share with you. And so Matt Dill, has really been keeping an eye on different grants out there. There was a connectivity grant, and Mount Vernon City Schools won this grant award. And we've received 678 Wi-Fi hotspots for students and family who don't have internet access. So that little box there, it looks about this big. It's a piece of hardware that can connect your phone, or our kids take home, Chromebooks. Can be a Wi-Fi hotspot. We paid for 1 year's worth of service for that device. That device is filtered. So, if you can only get internet through that device, it's going to run back through our system and be SIPA compliant, and will hopefully keep us where we need to be and not where we shouldn't be. But just the fact that we have the ability to provide 678 families with a Wi-Fi hotspot for 1 year. Now, obviously, it runs out after a year, and there's some real cost to that, but we feel blessed to be able to do that. Building principals have been given an allotment of hotspots, and they're working, of course, with their teachers and principals to kind of target students who, they have heard of or don't have any internet access or accessibility due to financial concerns. So I thought that was a neat piece to share kind of as we move forward. And then the last thing here is our Alice School safety drills. We're in the process of beginning those drills. Now, early in the year, they talked about it in their classrooms, and teachers talked about rally points, and individually, classrooms have been doing some work. We're required to do one drill a year. We do two school-wide drills a year, and we're getting ready to do those. As a matter of fact, we actually did the high school today. So, but what I did too was we sent out a letter to all the parents today just to let them know we're in the season. At the elementary level, I think it's important to say that we've kind of stepped back a little bit. We're announcing that drill prior to the drill, okay? So in other words, we get on the announcements and we say, we're going to have a lockdown drill. You're going to hear the lockdown alarm, or siren in this case. And teachers can have that kind of conversation before, especially for the fall one. At the middle school and the high school, we've been doing this long enough that what we do is we'll go ahead and we'll activate the lockdown alarm, which kind of puts us all in that mode. And then immediately then after the siren goes off, the principal will get on and say, this is a drill. So we're trying to be mindful and not put people in this anxious or anxiety state. But we do need to be able to get in and out of these things in the event that it would ever happen. We are going to, we did change an evacuation site, if you recall. Pleasant Street has got a new evacuation site a little closer to them without having to cross major roads. So while the weather's still good and Mr. Ward promised we're going to get back to 70 degrees next week, you know, we may do evacuation walks to our rally points just so students, you know, are better aware. And I think some of them have already done the walks. But we're kind of in that safety drill season, and we put it on our website, and we also send out an instant connect to families just to kind of let them know. So that's the district update. Any questions on any of those?
Just a comment. I think that locally, when we've had an issue this summer with a lockdown in one of our areas of Knox County, some of the children who have learned this Alice drill knew what to do and told their parents what to do in their homes.
Oh, okay.
So this is being internalized by the children, and I think that that is so important. And some of the parents commented that they didn't know what to do, but the children pulled the blinds down, closed the drapes, locked all the doors and all the windows. So this is important that we keep doing this. It's internalized.
Well, we certainly hope that we never have to utilize this in a live scenario, but I will say that at our elementary schools, we are also having the Red Cross come in, and they're talking to students about having a home safety plan and just things how we can be more proactive in being safe-minded at home as well. So
We also, I would be remiss if we didn't thank those that are allowing us the usage of their property for the rallying points as well. That's important to have that community.
yeah, and you know, there's not been one place we haven't asked if they would support us. They've all said yes, and so they're so incredibly gracious relative to their facilities. And again, hope we don't have to take advantage of it, but they're willing to do that if we need to.
It's nice to have.
Thank you. That was a great report.
Under the superintendent section, I have a number of items for board approval tonight. This is a second reading of a number of board policies. We shared these last month. Hopefully you've had a chance to kind of walk through these. I will say that most of them are policies we already had, and there's just simple little additions or modifications, and sometimes, quite frankly, just verbiage to update those. And then secondly, in this section, we have a couple of home community school students who will be participating in athletics. Those two items for your approval tonight.
I would entertain a motion for approval of updated board policies and the home community school student participation.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ward and Mrs. Reboleda. Any questions? None? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Ms. Regola-Dye.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes. All right, motion carried. Curriculum instruction.
Under this section, I know Dr. Bennett always enjoys sharing with us some of our student successes. You know, unfortunately, we did mention it early in our meeting, but she's unable to be here tonight and she regrets that, but hopefully she'll feel better very, very soon. So we do have that there. Feel free to go in and take a look at some of those success pieces. And you know, what's always kind of interesting when I look at those are realizing the many things that we currently are doing.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes I'm like, we're doing that, we're doing that. And, oh, we could do that a little bit better maybe. And so I think it's always nice to look at that. Under the recommended items for board approval in this section, our high school band, choir, and orchestra are looking to go to Orlando over spring break. We've included the itinerary there and their optional trip insurance. They will be departing on Thursday, March 30th and returning Tuesday, April 4th. And so if you look at that, I think they're They will be out a couple days, is that right?
Day and a half.
A day and a half. And so it's always a trip that I think they do once every 4 years, if I'm not correct. And I think the kids find great value in it. I know one of the questions the board has always been interested in is those youngsters who maybe just can't quite afford that trip, and I feel like they've got an amazing Music Boosters Club, and anytime we can, help support those who really desire to go, we'll try to find a way. Okay. Is there anything, Trevor, you would want to add?
I mean, as you see, I don't know if you guys get a copy of the initial request, but the Music Boosters are giving every student that is going on the trip $290 towards their trip, which will bring the cost for every student below $1,000, which was our goal. And then other students that struggle with what's left, we're going to work with them, whether that's stretching out their payment through the rest of the school year to help them be able to go on the trip. I know we've already had some businesses donate scholarships to certain students that wrote letters to them. So we encourage all that. So, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Obviously, you got a chance to look at the, as you open that up, that's the trip proposal form. And so you had a chance to take a look at that. Also, in this part of the agenda, we're also have included the Washington, D.C. class trip. This is a trip that we've been going on for many, many years outside of a couple COVID years there. And so we're thankful that we're able to do that. That tends to be now, it's been moved almost to the last week in May. And so you see there, it's May 22nd to the 25th. They do miss school to go on to that trip. And of course, we have a lot of teacher chaperones there as well. So those two trips for your approval tonight.
All right, I would entertain a motion for approval of the Orlando and the Washington, D.C. trip.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Workman.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Any questions or comments? Yes.
I think they're always looking for chaperones too, right?
I'd just like to compliment our music department. I think that their performances and the teachers and what they are accomplishing is absolutely incredible. So congratulations to all of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would say the Orlando trip, I have one daughter that was privy to go on that trip and had a phenomenal time. And the performance when she was there a few years back was bar none. So it's a great experience for them, as is the Washington, D.C. trip. It is invaluable to our kids that they are able to do something like that. So I appreciate the Music Boosters and Mrs. Beach for coordinating those efforts. So, all right. If you would call the roll, please.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mr. Golodai.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzler.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you.
And if I may, before fiscal services, just put whether it be a shameless plug or not, but it's a plug. Wednesday night, we have our orchestra that will be performing at the auditorium. And then the following week, I believe it's on Tuesday, right? The Jacket Jam.
I think it's on the following Tuesday.
I'll make sure I put those in your board updates, but those are fun to be a part of.
And the Jacket Jam is at Aerial, correct? Aerial Pavilion.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be 70 degrees according to Mr. Ward.
Maybe. Mr. Hankins.
You can open the report. Not a whole lot in terms of just general fund. Went out one thing on page 3. You may look at, in the second section, you may look at salaries and benefits and go, whoa, that's more than normal. Just a reminder, that was a 3-pay month. So that's why you see a bump there. 3-pay months are very popular because you don't have insurance taken out and things like that. That's right. No union dues. So if I tried to shift us from 26 to 24 pays, I would probably get run out of town on the rail. So I'm gonna leave that one alone. But anyway, that's really all I needed to point out there. Unless the board has any questions, I'll go to the amendment that we have. a modification there. Bill already talked about it. We received a grant, so once we receive money, the board has to give us permission to spend it. So that represents $599 down there, the miscellaneous federal grant. So you can see the additional funding there. Also bumped up the appropriation for our ESSER dollars with us coming to, with the board approving the contract and things for the Student-Based Health Center. We won't need that much money, but should we decide to do something else with some of the dollars, keep in mind that line item combines all of the ESSERs. So we're spending out of 2 and 3 at this point. So that's why you see an amount that's more than what we plan to spend on the Student-Based Health Center. We'll probably have to, if we would choose to do something else with the money, specifically ESSER 2, I'd probably just modify this again versus just throwing a big number down and wondering what's going to happen. So that's it in my world, unless there's any questions. And I will read if there's none, or you can ask me afterwards. But we do have one donation from Dan Elementary's PTO in the amount of $1,021.98 for PBIS items to obviously Dan Elementary. So we're grateful for that. Thanks to the PTO for that generous donation.
Thank you for that. And we would need a motion for approval for the financial report, appropriation modifications and the donation.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. And a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mrs. Rucolo. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mr. Rucolo.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mrs. Gibbs.
Yes. The motion carried. Business services, Mrs. Rucolo.
Thank you. The state legislature is still not in session, but there is a little update from the State Board of Education. The board voted to send a resolution to the executive committee opposing proposed changes to Title IX. And the board's ad hoc legislative committee unanimously passed a resolution that would recommend that the General Assembly repeal the third grade reading guarantee provision, which mandates retention of a third grader who does not meet the minimum score in language arts. And they are still searching for a state superintendent. That's ongoing, state for public education. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, vote in November. And now, that's true, you vote now early.
Or now.
That's it, thank you.
Under the business services section, we have one item for board approval tonight. It's facilities request for 5th grade girls basketball and the use of Twin Oak Gymnasium for your consideration.
All right, I would entertain a motion for facilities request.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Any questions? All right, Mr. Hankins, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mr. Rucolo.
Yes,
Mrs. Getzman.
Yes. All right, motion carried. Student services.
Under student services, we have no items for information at this time, and we have no recommended items for board approval in this section.
All right. Personnel, Mr. Seaver.
So we have really one item for information, and they're just some salary change notices, and you'll see them listed there. We have a number of items for board approval tonight in section B. You will see the retirement of Amy Ballard, and so Ms. Ballard has been with the district for a considerable number of years. We'll get a chance to celebrate her retirement as we get moving, down to the second half of the school year, but she's sent her retirement information there. You'll see a resignation, a couple of rescinded contracts, substitute teachers in section D, and then some supplemental contracts in E, as well as 2 extracurricular contracts, whereas those inside the system did not show interest in those. So items A through F and G, a few volunteers for your approval tonight.
I would entertain a motion to approve personnel as presented.
so moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Rucolo. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Whitman. And is there any questions or concerns? Hearing none, will you call the roll?
Mr. Golodai.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes. Motion carried. Classified.
Under this classified section, we have no items for information. We have a number of items for board approval, a couple 2-year contracts. And remember, our contract sequence for classified folks actually is on the date of their hire. So where teachers, sometimes you feel like it's always, the beginning of the year and the end of the year. If we hire someone in October, then their anniversary date is October. So you'll see those come up quite periodically. So those 2-year contracts and some substitute employment for your consideration tonight.
I would entertain a motion for classified items for approval as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. And a second.
Second?
Thank you, Mrs. Regola-Dye. Questions? Hearing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mr. Golodai.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes. Motion carried.
Board member comment.
On to board member comments to close the meeting now. Mr. Workman, would you like to go first tonight?
Sure, thank you. There's a lot to say. That was pretty fast. And I just,
Next time too?
yeah.
That's what we want to do.
No, I'd like to thank everyone for coming and those who might be listening. But, sometimes no news is good news. Appreciate the information, certainly that we heard tonight, but I don't really have any other comments.
Thank you. Mr. Ward?
Well, again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out this evening. Just wish Dr. Bennett all the best. She's a fixture here, so we're hoping to get her back soon. So I'm counting on that she's hearing this, as I'm saying.
And it's my
Mrs.
turn.
Regola-Dye.
Okay. I'd like to congratulate our Golf OCC Player of the Year, Ben Bridges, which is just awesome. And a big thank you to every staff member that takes care of all of our facilities, from in Gambier to here in Mount Vernon. And then finally, I'd just like to outline 10 policies that OSBA has recommended that any board would recognize for student achievement. And I think we do all of these very well. District goals and philosophy, parent and family involvement, graduation requirements, taking care of vulnerable students, having student supports in place, student involvement and recognition. We have the best staffing, I think. We have high standards for curriculum and instructional programs. We have co-curricular and extracurricular activities, and we have high standards for student conduct. So that's due to the fantastic staff and everyone from central office to every single building. That's it, thank you.
And I will just close out tonight by saying congratulations to Ben again and good luck to him as he moves forward. We also had another former employee that was recognized this past weekend, Mrs. Lynn Apple. She was voted into the Ohio High School Fast Pitch Softball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. So that's exciting, and congratulations to Lynn Apple. She had 251 wins in her 20 years as head coach. She actually started the Fast Pitch program here in Mount Vernon in 1981. Yay, 81. She garnered 3 league titles, 1 district championship. She was 3-time Coach of the Year in the old OCC League, which was the Columbus-based schools. And she was in 2015 selected into the Columbus OCC Hall of Fame. So well-deserved too, and hats off to Lynn Apple for all of her time. And then after she retired as head coach, she stuck around quite a few years as assistant and continued to help the program. So hats off to Lynn. Thank you for all of your service to all of our staff, our community, and to our children. So that's quite an accomplishment for her, so that's exciting news. So other than that, thank you to everyone else that continues. Our little snow today, thank goodness there was no accumulation, so that was a good thing and didn't catch our maintenance people off guard, but hopefully we're not into winter yet, correct, Mr. Ward?
Correct.
All right. And that is all I have. Any other questions?
Session need for tonight?
All right.
I would just make a reminder that Friday is in-service day. So there'll be no school on Friday, but teachers and staff will be in service. And I think parent-teacher conferences then come up the following week.
Okay.
And so there's some kind of important dates as we kind of close out this kind of a fall kind of a season as we kind of head into the winter seasons, and those will be exciting times as well.
Right, and our fall sports are wrapping up as well, correct? The soccer team, I'm sorry, is it tomorrow night?
Tournament tomorrow night
Tomorrow night
here.
at home, yes.
Of course, our last senior football game, senior night, I guess, will be Friday night here. And so, yeah, we are starting to slowly wrap some things up.
All right, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
And a second? Thank you, Mr. Wolf. And you want to call the roll, please?
Mr. Goloday?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes. We are adjourned.
Thank you for coming out. Thank you.
I will have the rest of my evaluations.
How are you?
Good, how are
Is that
you?
little Hannah?
That's my.
Oh, my goodness gracious. I looked twice, I'm like, no, it can't be. Yeah, it is Hannah.
She's a freshman at the NAS education major, so
Okay.
she had to come for an assignment.
Wow, yes.